So the issue of slavery is once again making the rounds in the media, this time from Laura Trevelyan, who was a BBC journalist for 30 years and now spends most of her time campaigning for reparations for previous colonies of the British Empire. Now, the interesting thing about Miss Trevelyan is that she is a descendant of the eminent historian G.M. Trevelyan. Now, Trevelyan was a very prominent, very respected historian. He wrote A History of England, a book that I actually have here, and which I have read. And this is what I find quite shocking about Miss Trevelyan's comments and how she is essentially jumping on the bandwagon of how bad the British Empire was and demonising her own ancestors, which include Trevelyan. Now, what's interesting is that Trevelyan was a historian who was known for being a noble historian, known for speaking the truth, a very eminent historian, someone who didn't mince his words or try and swing bias in one direction to the other, as we see some modern historians trying to do. But he painted a very clear and very honest picture about England and the history of England and the history of the British Empire. And what else is interesting is that he, in particular, was one of the historians that promoted the idea that Britain was always made up of mixed races. I've had quite a number of clashes with people on the far right who like to view the history of Britain, the history of the British Isles, as being one with all white people. You know, that's an argument they often give for, say, when they're trying to defend their views about immigration and stuff like that. So, you know, you quote Trevelyan and you say, well, actually, have a read of this, and you can see that Britain has always been a Mongol nation, which is what he said in his own words. So watching Miss Trevelyan, you know, going around trying to make victims of black people, trying to demand reparations for this and that, I really do think this is a total insult to the people of the past, including her own ancestor. Because by all accounts, Trevelyan was a very honourable and decent, noble individual, and she does a great disservice to him. And I do wonder if she has ever picked up any of his works and had a look at what he wrote, because he helped to educate a great deal number of people with a history that is now being twisted in today's society. So I'll just finish off with a newspaper clipping which is about Trevelyan, and it says here that his characteristics as a historian seem linked to the courage and clarity of purpose that guided his life as a writer. He had the assurance of judgment that comes of a secure background and a youth not threatened by fear or disaster. He was a product of the 19th century and what was best in high-minded, liberal, Puritan tradition. His approach to history was humane and fair-minded, broadly based on the desire to understand rather than to judge. He never allowed his conceptions of right and wrong to be bedeviled by doubt. Consequently, there was an unusual firmness of purpose in his presentation, which inspired confidence in the reader. Nowhere in his work is there anything set down in malice or cynically or simply to score a point. He wrote history as an old 17th century scholar once said it should be written, with clean hands and a pure heart. Now, I would ask Miss Trevelyan, what exactly is there about that you should be ashamed of or apologising for in any way?
Have you got what it takes to be a reasoned presenter? Well, send us a short clip of yourself to join@reasoned.uk and we might be seeing you on this very channel very soon indeed.